Good evening. How are you all today? I thought I would talk about the ascension path in the beginning, and it's got to contain with the mental, emotional, and physical. That's what the beginning of the stages of the ascension path. And basically, what it is your mental, emotional. It affects the vessel. All right. So, first thing you need to do, and what we all start to do, is our mental and emotional work. It's inner child work to inner teen work, past relationships. Believe it or not, from childhood to adulthood, you retain a lot as a child, traumas, things that you went through that you're holding on to, and uh, and not letting go. Um, so the whole thing with the inner child work and inner teen work, I did some meditation with Kenneth Soares. And I'll tell you what, that gentleman really knows how to do those meditations to help letting go and forgiving the past and forgiving yourself. He's excellent, and he helped me out a great of a deal, because every time I was doing it, it was like I was carrying this big, huge load of rocks. And every time I did a video, I was like, oh, I'm throwing this one away. I feel lighter. And I kept throwing away just doing those videos. There's other uh, meditations online as well, but just Kenneth Source really helped me. I tell you what, uh, if he's out there, thank you. You did a lot for me, brother. Um, so inner child work. There's a lot of things that you won't forgive, but you've got to remember to forgive yourself, and then you forgive that person that was involved in these traumas as you were as a kid or a teenager. And so you gotta forgive yourself, know that you did the best that you could with the knowledge you knew at that time. And they did the best that they could with the knowledge that they knew at that time in their growth spiritually. So you've got to just redemption all the way around, just forgive. And forgiving yourself is one of the most biggest things you can do for your mental and emotional body. And sometimes, if I didn't have a phone or something like that, I would bring my inner child work and bring it out and have conversation and try to heal within myself. It's basically doing that inner child work too. You can do that too. Put a pillow on your bed and just talk to it, or in a chair, and get it out, get those out, and forgive the past and stuff like that. I mean, there's whole things that we our past relationships, letting those go, forgiving ourselves and forgiving them, remembering that they did the best that they could with the soul, the knowledge that soul knew at that time, and you did the best that you could with those knowledge that you knew at that time, and just forgive it and let it go. And I know once you do all that stuff, if you have any sort of addiction, well, then what stops the addiction is you don't bring the past into the now. But when you bring the past into the now, that's when you don't want to. You want to numb yourself. That person wants to smoke a cigarette or drink alcohol or any addiction. There's so many out there, but once you forgive the past and let it go, and those are old lessons that you've already learned. You forgave them and yourself. You'll quit your addictions as well, guaranteed. Um, you know, so just so you know on that. In the beginning of this, the spiritual path too, it starts with the emotional body and the physical body, but then there's, the physical body is, all right, so I got all that mental emotional work, and then it curtailed on the physical, because I started to unconditionally love myself and getting connected with my inner child, and started bringing that into my day-to-day life. But then, I started looking at my diet, and for me, on my path, it's not everybody's path, but I went strict vegan, which meant no potato chips, nothing in a bag, nothing in a can, nothing in a box. It's all natural food, fruits and vegetables, what I eat, because the chemicals and some of the stuff they put in today, I'm asking the companies to, look at that, because, it's not very good for the vessel. I mean, some of these things I've looked on Google. I'd say, hey Google, what's this to the human body? And some of the things just said, you know what, I'm just not gonna put this in my vessel because I love myself way too much. It hurts the vessel. So I love their food, but they need to make it healthy before I start mine again. Another on the ascension path, I stopped watching TV. I haven't seen TV in a couple of years now. I don't watch it. I don't pertain to it. Another thing I stopped doing is listen to music. Any of the today's music, old, past music, all that stuff. Although I do listen to, like, I don't know, native China music or, you know, Gaelic or uh, there's all kinds of music. I'll listen to Arabian music. I'll listen to belly dancing music. Anything that doesn't have any words, but it's just got a good beat and I can keep up with it. And it brings me joy and happiness, and it's really uplifting music. I'm all for that, and I'll do that because I decided not to listen to the music that I grew up with or today's music. So I tend not to go that way, and that's one of my decisions that I did. And that was part of my path. Not everybody's going to do that path. I don't agree with it, so I don't do it. Another thing is you might want to look at, your past behaviors and forgiving yourself for those past behaviors. Um, here's a couple of them: maybe stealing or lying or something like that. Well, forgive yourself for one thing. All right, that was in the past. You learned that lesson. That was a hard lesson that you learned. Now you need to forgive yourself. Once you forgive yourself of all that stuff, well, then you realize that you love the other people as yourself. So you would never do it to anybody else. And you'd realize, well, that's just silly. I wouldn't even do anything like that because I'm perfect and whole and complete as I am. There is no lack. There is nothing like that. And it's just silly to lie. I'm perfect the way I am. We all are perfect the way we are. Um, we're beautiful. We're different expressions of love. Um, we're all different in many ways, but the same one thing we all are is we're connected to one another. We're all connected. So the unconditional love is loving yourself as others, and you'll find out how connected you are to this universe, to every living thing, to every being, and how special everything is on the spiritual path. Because that's another thing you'll find out in the beginning as well. This path is very interesting. It's more or less a love story with yourself. It starts with loving yourself unconditionally, letting go and forgiving yourself, doing those things, and then it flows outward to other people as well. And then you realize, well, that's a reflection of me. That person's a part of me. Everybody's a part of me, and they're all beautiful. And that's one of the things you'll learn on your path. Another thing you'll see, we're all at different levels on our path now. All right, there is no judgment. There is no labels. All right, we're all at different levels. Think of it as a big school. I mean, we got from kindergarten all the way to college. Some 12th, some 11th, some 5th, some 3rd, some kindergartens, whatever. We're all at different levels. All right, so let's say a person is learning a lesson you've already learned, and you don't want to learn that lesson again. You can just simply not put a judgment on that person. Just say, hey, sister, brother, I've got to go. I love you. I'll catch you later. Because there's lessons that you really don't want to learn over again in your life, and you don't have to. Just accept them and say, hey, I love you, and I've got to go. If you feel bold enough, maybe give them a little advice, and maybe they'll take it, but then just walk away. That's the best thing you can do is, hey, I love you, but I gotta go, brother or sister. And you've already learned that lesson, so you don't have to hang around that to relearn that lesson. That's another thing that might happen on your day-to-day path, and this is in the beginning of the path, and this is how it went for me for a little while I was doing my inner work and stuff as well. You'll see that the spiritual path continues on doing inner work the farther and farther you get. But I tell you what, the romance story between yourself and others gets quite beautiful and just quite remarkable, and you'll see just how magical this universe is. There's things I've seen that opens my eyes wide open, and it just, I can't explain it, but it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Um, that's just the reaction I'll get. Maybe later on I can tell more about those stories. Um, I can also give recipes. You know, an American standard diet is what I grew up on. As a vegan, a strict vegan, I can't eat those things. So I do recipes. I missed ice cream, so I made an ice cream recipe without milk. I did it with avocados and frozen berries and a little bit of cacao and some water. And if I want, you know, the cacao is the chocolate, and it's unsweetened, no sugar in it, and it's just a powder. And you know, I'll put an extract like peppermint in, or mint, and I'll have chocolate chip mint berry milkshake, but it's with avocados and no milk. Um, and so I'll do things like that. If something you might want to try in that blender, because I tell you what, once you start drinking those, it's just pretty good tasting. I really like that, and it's a healthy fat for you, and you can drink it as much as you want, and you'll be doing your body, and your vessel will be, well, thank you, I really like that. Now your vessel is going to love you for that. But these are just some of the things I started out with my path, and I just thought I'd give some insight on the beginnings of the unconditional love spiritual path and the beginnings of it. And like I said, Kenneth Soares, the meditation artist, is really good. But there's other ones too. But I'll tell you what, he helped me out tremendously, and I thought I'd pass that on.